Hey everyone, it's Isabella. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. Today we're going to be going over the most disappointing reads I've read in 2022. Don't want to be a negative Nelly, but I do want to talk about the disappointing books as well as the good books because I think it's important. Also, if you do hear birds, I don't know if you can hear that. My window is closed, so I'm really sorry. They're just really loud today for some reason. I think it's because the storm's coming. I know I'm starting these yearly wrap-up videos a little bit early, but I have so many videos I need to film. Like, I want to film my favourite standalones, the series I've read in 2022, reading plans for 2023, unboxing a book cart, Christmas haul. Like, I have a lot of videos to film in December, so we are starting this like yearly wrap-up thing a little bit early. We're gonna start with a very popular book that actually, I think it recently got published. Like, it was an indie published book, I think. I could be wrong. And that is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. So I'm as shocked as you are that I did not like this book, because this is such a popular book. Well, it's not super popular, but the reviews that I do see are all extremely positive. I haven't seen actually one single person not like this book. It's essentially a fantasy story about an orc named Viv who slays monsters until one day she decides to kind of retire, and she moves to this place and opens a coffee shop where no one knows what coffee is. And that's literally the story. You're following an orc opening a coffee shop. And I thought, that sounds amazing. I love fantasy and I love coffee. Why, like, what's not to love? Like, why would I not like this book? I unfortunately DNF'd it. Oh, I still have the bookmark in. Can you see that? I DNF'd it page 176. I just was so incredibly bored. Like, I know this story, there's not really a lot of plot and it's characters, and I don't mind that. I love character-driven stories, but I just didn't really care. I know that sounds really harsh, but like, if there's not going to be a plot, I really need to love the characters, and I felt no connection to Viv or any of the characters actually whatsoever. Now, I definitely wouldn't shy away from this story. If you're interested in picking it up, I definitely still would. Like, I wouldn't not recommend this book because it is well written. It does have a really awesome concept. I'm just someone that if I am going to read a fantasy book, I do kind of need that higher fantasy. Like it says on the front, it's high fantasy. Like, I mean, it is because it's not set in our world, so I suppose it is, but I need like the more fantasy where we focus on battle scenes and politics, and I obviously knew going into this story that's not going to be it, but I thought I would still like it. Unfortunately, this type of fantasy just isn't for me. That's okay. It still is a good story if you're interested in it. But yeah, if I am going to read fantasy, it's not the type of fantasy that I'm interested in, which again, it's on me for giving it a chance. I kind of knew like it could go either way. Unfortunately, just didn't go the way I wanted it to, but nevertheless, like I said, it's not a bad book. Another story, which both of these stories have coffee themes, so I thought I'd love it because I literally love coffee so much, and I didn't like either of them, so I don't know if that's a sign. But that's Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which is very popular. My door's banging. That's incredibly annoying. Okay, I think I fixed it. Anyway, this story follows a bunch of different characters who go into this coffee shop, and basically if you sit in this particular chair in this coffee shop, you can time travel back to like the past to revisit like memories, I guess. And I don't really read time travel much, so I was really interested in this story. I gave it 3 stars. Now looking back, I probably would give it 2. It is such a short book and we're following so many different characters that it's hard for me to feel for any of the characters, and like we're following a bunch of different characters and why they want to go back in time, and I feel like you're meant to empathize with them, and I just didn't, because I didn't really have that strong connection. I don't know, like the setting was really cool, like how they described the cafe, like it seemed really interesting, but the actual like story or stories. I was kind of bored with half of them. I think my favorite was the first one, I think, which is The Lovers, but after that I was kind of disinterested. Similar with Legends and Lattes though, if you're interested in this book, I would still recommend you pick it up because it is not a bad book. It has to be your cup of tea, and it wasn't mine, but I wouldn't shy people away from reading this book. The next one, however, I was not a fan. Fable by Adrienne Young. This is actually a reread technically because I read it last year and I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was like okay, but I wanted to read the second book, so I was like, alright, I'll just reread this book, thinking I would like it like more. Turns out I liked it even less. I just couldn't, like, I love Fable as a character, that's the thing, like I love her, but that's all I really like about the story. I think there is a lot of talk in here about like dredging and like boats and sailing, and I knew like I had no idea what they were talking about. I know nothing about boats, so I was like, they were like describing what they were doing and I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about right now. So good like 65-70% of this book I just didn't know what they were doing, so that was really fun. Also, I feel like this is a very anticlimactic book. I just feel like the ending was a little bit like it went shoo for me, unfortunately. Anyway, this story follows Fable, who was left on this island when she was really young to basically fend for herself, and she becomes a dredger, which means you how do you describe a dredger? Like you dive into waters and get jewels and things and trade, and kind of like pirates type of vibe. Like it's a pirate type of vibe. It's not a pirate, they're not pirates, but like same vibe. And it's a really dangerous place, and she wants to try and get off the island to make it back to the Narrows, which is where her father lives. So we're following her as she tries to get off the island and her journey across the sea. And it's a confusing book because I don't hate it, but like I do kind of, but like I don't because I love Fable. But like the actual book, like take Fable out of the book, don't like the book, which is also really frustrating because I bought the sequel, Namesake, which was $20, and I won't be reading it, so slightly disappointed that I wasted my money. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily shy people away from reading the book, but like just keep in mind there is a lot of boat talk. A lot of it. At least I thought there was. Alright, I'm going to briefly mention a book that I didn't technically read, but it's one that I DNF'd and I'm honestly not sure if I'm going to pick it up again. So I'm asking you guys if I should, and that's The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I read like maybe 50 pages. Like I did not read a lot, but there was a lot of characters and I wasn't really like instantly drawn in, and I've seen such mixed reviews about the story. So if you have read this book without spoiling it, what did you think? Because I'm genuinely curious if I should pick it up, if it's worth it, or if I should just get rid of it, because I don't really know. I don't know where I stand, and I have that many books that like I don't know if I necessarily want to just get rid of it, but like I don't want to read it and be extremely disappointed. So if you've read it, let me know your opinions, please. The next books I actually don't own physically because I gave them away because I hated them, but I will put a photo on the screen. So the first one is Confess by Colleen Hoover. Now I am a Colleen stan. I like Colleen Hoover very much. One thing, however, that I've learnt from her stories is that you either absolutely love them or you absolutely hate them. And this is a book that is very, I see kind of both sides in terms of I see people who love it and I see people who hate it. I personally did not like it. I did not like this story. It sounded really cool, like the premise, but the execution just did not do it for me. So we're following a girl named Auburn. This is just off the top of my head, by the way. Following a girl named Auburn, and the love interest is Owen, and Owen owns an art studio and Auburn's looking for a job, and she becomes his employee, I think, from my memory, and that's the kind of start of it. I'm not really going to go into detail because it'll kind of spoil it. The back of it I remember was pretty brief, But reasons I didn't like it without spoiling it, I just did not like Owen, which again I feel like is a very unpopular opinion. I hope his name's Owen. I feel like it is. I really hope so. Aubin and Owen, right? Unpopular opinion, but I just did not like him at all. I felt zero chemistry between the two characters. Aubin was actually a pretty good character. I liked her, but at the same time I feel like a few of her decisions she made, I was like, girl, what are you doing? Why are you making that decision? That is so silly. And I don't usually do that in books, but at times I was actually like, what are you doing? I don't know. I actually ended up DNFing this book with 30 pages left to read. 30 pages, and I was like, I can't do it, which is crazy to me, because if I'm over halfway, typically I finish the book, but like I just could not. I just hated everything about it. Didn't like the ending, didn't like some of the scenes that was in it. I was just a bit uncomfy. Just not a book for me, unfortunately. I don't know if I would probably never recommend this book, but if you do like Colleen Hoover, you might like it. I don't know. I'm currently reading Heartbones by Colleen Hoover, and it is so good so far. I don't know why no one talks about that book. I still have 100 pages left or so I don't know if maybe the ending's really bad and that's why no one talks about the book, but so far I'm like loving it. I'm reading an ebook. I'm gonna need the physical copy. Just saying. Heartbones, pick up Heartbones instead of Confess. Okay, thanks. Following on from Colleen Hoover, another book of hers that I just really did not like is All Your Perfects. Now this book to me was not as bad as Confess. I actually kind of liked it a little bit. My problem is just like more of a me thing. Like I don't really like reading about I can't even really say what it is, hey, because it's not written on the back of the book. I'm not gonna spoil it, but what the book is based around, I hate it. And it's really hard because I do want to say what it's about, because if someone had told me I would not have read it, but at the same time I don't want someone to get mad at me for spoiling it. If you want to know, look up the trigger warnings, and I'm pretty sure it'll be in there, and that'll probably tell you what happens in the story, but I'm not going to say it because I don't want someone to get mad at me. Anyway, the premise of it, what it's based around, it's hard for me to read, and I don't know, like I just struggled to enjoy it. I didn't think it was an enjoyable read. I didn't really like Graham, to be honest. I know that's an unpopular opinion as well, but I just did not really care for him that much. I did at the start, but as the story progressed, I just didn't really, like I wasn't not rooting for him, but I just wasn't rooting for him, you know what I mean? Like he's no Atlas or Miles, even though Miles is a lot more toxic, but anyway, I just didn't feel it. I didn't feel it the way that I feel other Colleen Hoover books. I think I did cry, but that's just because of what the book's based around. I was like, ugh, like it was a hard read. I don't think I would ever pick it up again. I wouldn't not recommend it. I would just definitely look up more about what it's centers around, just in case you're similar to me. But if you want to read about that stuff, it's not a bad book. I'm sorry, I'm really bad at explaining things. I'm sorry. Last book I'm going to talk about is actually one of my most anticipated reads this year, and that was I Kissed Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. I was so excited for this book because I read One Last Stop and I loved it. Unfortunately though, I did not love this book. I gave it 2 stars. I really did not like it. Like, the minute I finished that book, I was like getting rid of it. I was like, I don't want to see it anymore. We're following the story as Shara Wheeler, who's our main character. She's the it girl in school. She's blind. She's like, I think, is she a cheerleader? I feel like she's a cheerleader. She might be. Anyway, she's the it girl of the school. She goes missing and she leaves hints to where she went to this random group of people, like the most random group ever. They're not in the same friend group. It's just a bunch of random kids that go to the school, and we're following one of them in particular. I think her name's Chloe. And Chloe is like very confused on why this it girl has given her a hint or like picked her, I guess, and you're just trying to figure out what happened. Why has she run away? Where has she run away to? You know, figuring out. It's like a mystery. There is a sapphic love interest or love, you know, thingamabob. I did not care for it at all. I thought it was weird. I thought there was no chemistry. And there was also another couple that got together at the end of the book that I kind of saw coming, and I was like, no, that should not have happened. Personally, I did not see the chemistry between them. I thought it was such a random pick of two characters that when I was reading the end, I was like, please don't tell me they end up together, because there's no way. There's just no way. They did end up together, and I was like, that was like the point in the book where I was like, I can't do this. Like, if you're gonna make people fall for each other, at least give us some chemistry. Give us something to work off of, alright? Before I end this video, I do want to thank you guys for all the love that I have received recently. My bookshelf reorganization video kind of blew up a little bit, and I just want to thank you guys so much for the likes, the comments, and the subscribe. It's lovely. I do try to reply to all the comments. If you do want to leave a comment, don't have to though. I hope you enjoyed this video. Prepare yourself for a lot of videos to come, because I have many planned. But yeah, if you like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you like, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.